On Monday, February 16, 2026, San Diego County's skies darkened as a powerful storm swept in, casting an eerie shadow over the city. The air felt heavy, charged with anticipation, as residents looked up to see thick, swirling clouds rolling in from the Pacific. What started as a gentle drizzle quickly escalated into relentless downpours and fierce, howling winds, catching many off guard. Within minutes, umbrellas flipped inside out, and pedestrians scrambled for shelter, surprised by the storm's sudden intensity. Palm trees bent nearly double in the gusts, their fronds whipping through the air. Windows rattled in their frames, and rain hammered rooftops with a deafening roar, signaling the start of a multi-day weather event that would test the city's resilience. Streets flooded rapidly, transforming familiar neighborhoods into temporary waterways. Water rushed down gutters and pooled at intersections, making even short trips a challenge. Drivers navigated slick, treacherous roads with extreme caution, their headlights barely piercing the thick sheets of rain. Traffic slowed to a crawl as visibility dropped and hydroplaning became a real danger. The city's usual calm was replaced by a tense anticipation as residents hunkered down indoors, listening to the storm's relentless assault. Families gathered by windows, watching the rain lash against the glass, while others checked weather updates and emergency alerts. This was no ordinary winter shower. It was a dramatic reminder of nature's power to disrupt daily life. Schools closed early, businesses shuttered, and the city's routines were thrown into chaos as the storm intensified. The storm's first wave set the stage for days of challenges ahead, with meteorologists warning that the worst was yet to come. The city braced itself, knowing this was only the beginning. San Diego, a city more accustomed to endless sunshine and gentle breezes, now faced a new reality. The storm battered both the coast and inland valleys, sending crashing waves onto beaches and drenching farmlands alike. The community faced a sudden, sobering shift, preparing for whatever the storm would bring next. Neighbors checked on each other, sandbags were stacked at doorways, and everyone waited, united by uncertainty and hope, as the storm raged on. By Monday evening, rain gauges across San Diego County showed rapid accumulations, up to an inch in just hours. Urban drainage systems were quickly overwhelmed, leading to widespread street flooding and hazardous travel. Low-lying intersections became impassable, and gutters overflowed, turning roads into shallow rivers. The flooding was countywide, not limited to a few neighborhoods, disrupting commutes and daily routines. Water crept up driveways and threatened homes, with saturated ground, leaving nowhere for the excess to go. The intensity of the storm highlighted the region's vulnerability to extreme weather. For a drought-prone area, this much rain brought more problems than relief. The deluge underscored the challenge of managing sudden severe storms in an urban environment. With more rain forecast, the risk of further flooding loomed large. In Spring Valley, the threat of the storm became all too real when a driver, perhaps thinking they could make it through, ignored the flood warnings and drove straight into the raging Sweetwater River. The rain was relentless, and the river had already swollen far beyond its banks, turning the road into a dangerous torrent. Within moments, the car was stranded, its occupants trapped inside as the water surged higher and higher around them. The current was powerful, making escape impossible without help. Panic set in as the reality of their situation became clear. Soon, a tow truck arrived, its driver determined to help. But the river's force was underestimated, and the tow truck itself became stuck, wheels spinning uselessly in the muddy water. The emergency had now doubled, with 2 vehicles and more lives at risk. Now, both vehicles were caught in the relentless current, making the rescue operation even more complicated and dangerous. The situation was growing more dire by the minute as the river showed no signs of slowing. First responders rushed to the scene, braving the swift water and hazardous conditions. With teamwork, training, and courage, they managed to reach the stranded people, guiding them to safety despite the perilous circumstances. The vehicles were left behind in the river, battered by the flood, but every person was saved. The skill and bravery of the emergency crews turned what could have been a tragedy into a story of survival and hope. News crews captured the dramatic rescue, and the footage was broadcast across local channels, reinforcing the critical message: "Turn around! Don't drown!" The community watched, reminded of the dangers that come with ignoring flood warnings. This incident served as a vivid reminder of the unstoppable power of moving water and the importance of respecting nature's warnings. Even a few inches of fast-moving water can sweep away vehicles and endanger lives. The haunting image of two stranded vehicles in the river stands as a clear warning to everyone. Never underestimate the force of floodwaters, and always choose safety over risk. In Mission Valley, memories of recent floods drove business owners and residents to action. Sandbags lined doorways, and people worked urgently to protect their properties from rising waters. Caroline Jackson, owner of 1502 Candle Compson, recalled January's devastation and prepared anxiously to avoid another loss. For small businesses, flooding means more than cleanup, it threatens livelihoods. Across the county, residents cleared drains, secured belongings, and stocked emergency supplies. The community's preparations reflected hard-earned resilience and a refusal to be caught off guard again. Under gray skies, it was a race against time to fortify homes and businesses. The collective effort showed a community determined to withstand whatever the storm delivered. San Diegans braced for impact, hoping their preparations would hold. The storm's winds, gusting over 45 mph, brought a new hazard: toppling trees. In Pacific Beach, a massive Torrey pine crashed onto a house and a parked Tesla, miraculously sparing everyone inside. Crews worked to remove the fallen giant as neighbors looked on, grateful for the lucky escape. In National City, another tree crushed a car near I-805 and Palm Avenue, again with no injuries reported. These incidents highlighted the hidden dangers of windstorms, especially when rain-saturated soil weakens roots. The focus often falls on flooding, but falling trees can be just as destructive. The storm left a trail of property damage, but thankfully, no serious injuries in these cases. The community was reminded to stay alert for hazards above as well as below. The sight of fallen trees brought back memories of a recent tragedy in City Heights, where a man was killed by a falling tree during a December storm. Monday's near misses stood in stark contrast, underscoring the real danger these storms pose. The fatality served as a powerful reminder. High winds and saturated ground can turn deadly in seconds. Residents took warnings more seriously, staying indoors and away from large trees. The difference between property damage and loss of life can be a matter of seconds or inches. The community's relief was mixed with anxiety as the storm continued. The hope was clear: no repeat of past heartbreak. By Tuesday, February 17th, the storm was far from over. Forecasters warned of lingering showers and slick roads for the morning commute. With a brief midday lull, another powerful wave was set to arrive late Tuesday, bringing more rain and strong winds. A wind advisory warned of gusts up to 45 mph, raising concerns about more falling trees and outages. With the ground already saturated, the risk of further flooding increased. Relief was in sight, as the storm was expected to taper off by Wednesday afternoon. Showers might linger into Thursday, but a drier trend was on the horizon. For now, residents were urged to stay alert and prepare for another round of severe weather. While the city faced rain and wind, San Diego's mountains braced for snow as cold air dropped snow levels below 6,000 feet. Peaks like Mount Laguna and Palomar Mountain saw rare dustings, with snow expected to reach even lower elevations by Wednesday. Drivers in the mountains were warned of slick, hazardous roads. Meanwhile, the coast faced a different threat: massive waves and dangerous rip currents. A high surf advisory warned of waves up to 10 feet, making beaches hazardous. Authorities urge everyone to stay out of the water and admire the spectacle from a safe distance. The storm transformed both mountains and coastline, each with its own dangers. San Diego's natural beauty became a zone of caution. As the storm continued to batter the region, the top priority for everyone was safety, both for themselves and for their loved ones. The relentless wind and rain made it clear that this was no ordinary weather event, and caution was more important than ever. Residents were urged to stay informed at all times, keeping a close eye on official updates from emergency management, meteorologists, and local authorities. Whether through television, radio, or smartphone alerts, staying connected to the latest information could make all the difference. Never attempt to drive through flooded roads. Just a few inches of moving water can sweep a car away, putting lives at risk. Floodwaters can hide dangers like downed power lines, debris, or washed-out pavement, making them even more treacherous. The "turn around, don't drown" message is life-saving advice, not just a slogan. Heeding this warning can prevent tragedy and keep first responders from risking their own safety to perform rescues. Stay clear of large trees during high winds, as saturated soil can bring them down without warning. Even healthy-looking trees can topple, blocking roads or damaging homes and vehicles in an instant. The coastline remains especially dangerous during storms. Heed surf and rip current advisories and stay off the sand and rocks during high surf. Even experienced swimmers and surfers can be caught off guard by powerful waves and unpredictable currents. Keep up with local news and weather updates, as conditions can change rapidly and new hazards may emerge with little warning. Staying alert allows you to respond quickly if evacuation orders or new safety recommendations are issued. The storm has already shown its power, leaving behind damage and disruption. But with caution, preparation, and a willingness to follow expert advice, tragedy can be prevented and lives can be protected. By staying vigilant, looking out for one another, and working together as a community, San Diego can weather the storm safely and emerge stronger on the other side. Please stay safe, San Diego. Your actions today can make all the difference for yourself, your family, and your neighbors.